it up from there. Archer tore down that big denial by Team Biden. Archer told lawmakers this week that then Vice President Joe Biden, in fact, was at that infamous dinner in 2015 with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates, as first reported by the New York Post. In 2020, Biden's campaign spokesman told Politico, quote, "We have reviewed Joe Biden's official schedules from the time, and no meeting, as alleged by the New York Post, ever took place." Well, it did. Even after some apparent vindication, the New York Post editorial board with a new headline now. Just the number of Joe Biden's sit-downs with Hunter clients is damning. Ari Fleischer, Fox News contributor, former White House press secretary. Ari, it is always troubling when a witness fact-checks a president.
Yeah, and the New York Post keeps being right. Isn't that the case, too? Much to the dismay of the mainstream media. Look, Joe Biden is getting caught in a web of lies on this. And the only reason I think he lied and lied from the start and lied so vehemently about having no discussions, period, with his son is because he knew he was up deep in so many of his son's business matters. He knew he put himself on the phone more than 20 times to help his son get business. As the sitting vice president, that itself, Harris, is an act of corruption. Whether or not he received money from it doesn't matter. It was an act of corruption for the sitting vice president to get on the phone call to help his son get business, particularly from foreign countries.
Well, you know, when you look at all of this and the fact that around the world, America preaches about how democracy is supposed to look, and you don't punish the people for speaking in opposition of what your politics are. But that seems to be what we're looking at right now as they go after Trump and as they ignore a lot of what went on with Hunter Biden's, well, really mysterious foreign business dealings, because we don't know the details of all of them.
You know, and don't forget the Obama State Department said it publicly on the record that it was a conflict of interest for Joe Biden to have his son serve on the board of Burisma when Joe Biden was in charge of fighting corruption in Ukraine. And then Joe Biden intervened on behalf of Burisma, on behalf of his son's business interests, to support what his son and Burisma want to accomplish. This is as unethical as it gets. And I really do think Joe Biden may have financially benefited from all of this. There are emails showing that Joe Biden received payments as a result of what the money flowed to his son, and then his son shared it with Joe Biden or paid Joe Biden's expenses at his homes. So this is exceedingly worrisome. A vice president who appears to have been on the take to help his son make more money. And I have another question. What about Joe Biden's brother, Frank? Is there any evidence with Joe Biden on any phone calls with his brother Frank's potential business partners to help Frank get business deals?
Yeah, we aren't talking about all those other family members that are being looked at in this investigation. There are 9 total Bidens in that loop. You bring up an excellent point. In fact, for that matter, can we get a list of all the phone calls with any business that was being done that we don't understand that might be tied to those 170 suspicious activity reports with the federal government that were filed? All right, the Wall Street Journal editorial board lays out damaging evidence that then Vice President Biden mixed family business with his Ukraine diplomacy. They write, quote, Biden famously bragged on his role in using $1 billion in U.S. aid to get Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin fired during his 2015 visit to Kyiv. What do you make of what we know now and thinking about, because that's on tape, by the way. You can watch that happening with the president. I'm going to hold back the aid. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but he jokes about it, that he can get that done and get that prosecutor fired.
Yeah, and Devon Archer testified, Hunter Biden's business partner, Devon Archer testified that Hunter Biden's actions basically saved Burisma, that they needed this to survive, and that Joe Biden delivered. You know, this is the definition of corruption. And that's why I find this whole thing so worrisome. You know, I think every congressman, Democratic congressman, who is defending this and saying, well, they just talked about the weather, they need to be asked, would you ever allow your child to put you, or a family member, to put you on a phone call as they seek to do business, with the implication clearly that I've got a relative in Congress who has influence? And I'm sure all of them would say no because it's unethical. Would Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, do for her family what then Vice President Joe Biden did? And understand something. Hunter Biden never put his father on the phone. Joe Biden put himself on the phone. It was voluntarily. He did it as a busy vice president to enhance his son's ability to make money with foreign governments. He wasn't put there. Joe Biden did it. And that's why the issue was Joe Biden's corruption, nothing to do with Hunter.
Yeah, that's the furthering of what I was going to say. And you know, these Democratic lawmakers had better be careful that they don't get pulled into this case. Because as you were talking, I made this note. The question that I would ask Goldman and maybe others who are defending the president on this issue, do you know that they only talked about the weather because you talked with President Biden and he assured you that that's what they were talking about? Get them on the record about how they claim to know this even more. Because what they're doing is they're reading between the lines of a document that came out of an interview. It does matter because it pulls them into the case, and they might be quiet if they thought, well, maybe I don't know the truth. Maybe I should, you know, pipe down until I do, or ask the president.
Yeah, but there's another issue here, too, and it doesn't matter if he only talked about the weather. He was on the line. The point is that he was showing that his son has influence and can reach him. That's why it was perfectly right if he just talked about the weather for Hunter's appearances. It showed, I can get my father. I have influence. I can use that influence for you. That is the corruption. And that is what Joe Biden exposed himself to by putting himself on the line, even if he only talked about the weather. He never should have been on the line. It was unethical to begin with for a sitting vice president to be on that line, no matter what the topic was, no matter whether he did or did not receive money. The act of being on the line was the corruption. And the mainstream media needs to dig deep into this. It's inconceivable to me that newspapers like the New York Times, that prides itself on ethics, is looking the other way at this.
Yeah, they need to really lean in. And again, these Democratic lawmakers, though, if you're going to defend somebody and it looks the way it does now, don't you want to go to the source and say, look, Mr. President, can I just get your thought on what was really going on those calls? Because I'm sticking my neck out for you. Here's a little bit of what I'm talking about. A Washington Examiner op-ed called Biden's Family Man Image was always a fraudulent political narrative. And it points out Biden has exploited his family for political gain for his entire career. His family-focused image was carefully cultivated as a political tool, and this despicable story has exposed it for even many in the media who for years bought the charade hook, line, and sinker. And maybe some of those other Democrats buying it too. Ari, last word.
Yeah, the charitable side of me says that his son was troubled. He was doing what a father tries to do for his son, but instead of steering his son straight and said, no, you've got to make your own living and pull yourself up by the bootstraps, you can do it, he enabled corruption. He got on the line and did things he never should have done, whether it was because of guilt, because of Hunter, or whatever the reason was. It was wrong. It doesn't help you raise a good son, and it also makes you a bad, corrupt vice president.
Ari Fleischer, thank you very much for starting us off in Focus. Have a great weekend.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.